In the days and weeks leading up to the fall of Saigon, the U.S. government worked around the clock to evacuate thousands of American and Vietnamese citizens, many who would be in danger once the capital city fell. 113 of those Vietnamese civilians owe their successful evacuation and possibly their lives to our next guest. Joining us now is Ralph White. He's the author of the memoir entitled Getting Out of Saigon, how a 27-year-old American banker saved 113 Vietnamese civilians. And the stories in here will give you chills, Ralph. I think first set the scene. We want to hear, first of all, the story of the picture on the cover. But how'd you end up there at 27 years old? You were working for Chase?
I was working for Chase. I was the lowest ranking officer in the world for Chase. I'd just been assigned to Bangkok branch, and senior management way above my level came and asked me if I would go to Saigon and take over the branch. And it was a little weird because I wouldn't be at that level for another 10 years or so. The answer is there was a war going on, and none of the adults in the room would go.
So they sent a single young man.
Single, young, expendable, and nearby. I was working in Bangkok, an hour and a half away.
So this, inflection point in your life led you there at an extraordinarily important time. Tell us a little bit about your experiences there, and including the backstory of this remarkable photograph that's on the cover of your book.
Well, we're jumping to the end, which is fine. It's a fascinating story. As a first-time writer with Simon & Schuster, I had basically no say. They showed me the cover. I said, that's fine. If I hadn't said fine, they would have done it anyway. And then it went to, it's managed by consensus, so all the departments had to agree. It got to sales. Sales said no. If it's about refugees, we want refugees on the cover. We don't want airplanes. And so they asked me if I had any photographs of Vietnamese refugees we could use for a cover photo. And I said no, but I quickly went on Getty Images, and I searched, and I got about 800 or 900 hits. And I was just scrolling through them for days, trying to figure out which one I wanted on the cover of my book. And one was very crisp, and it was cute kids coming up the ramp of a cargo jet. And I showed it to Simon & Schuster, and they said, sure, we can use this. And long story short, it went to press. My book got published, and then a couple of months later, I get a call from Houston. I normally don't accept calls from Houston, but I made an exception because there are a lot of Vietnamese there. And the voice at the other end said, hello, Mr. White. My name, and she gave her name. I thank you for putting my children on the cover of your book. And I said, who's this? My name is Ginya. You remember me. I lost my luggage, and you bought me a dress and a toothbrush at the PX at Clark Air Force Base. And I did that. I remember doing that. So I said, wow, that's amazing. You're sure those are your kids? I know my kids. And so we had a nice conversation. She said, now, yeah, that's my Vien and my An. Here, you talk to Vien.
Oh, my God.
And she gave me the phone, and I'm talking to one.
So you did not know that these were the pictures, these were children you helped save? Total
coincidence. The hand of God.
Yeah.
And then I realized a couple of days later, I was thinking about the incident, and I thought, do you know what? If those kids were with her, she was with me, that's the plane I came out on. And I picked it entirely randomly.
Right. So tell us a little bit about what this anniversary means to you. I mean, that day, obviously, traumatic, complicated, emotional, embarrassing for the United States. I mean, just so many layers of what that day meant. But you were there. So tell us just briefly about what that meant for you to be there and to have played such an important role.
Well, thanks for asking. I have a lot of different feelings about it. I think the important thing is the Chase Manhattan Bank sent me. It was their corporate responsibility to take care of their helpless employees in a far-flung outpost. They did the best they could. They didn't have a plan. They sent me in. I figured out a way to get them out. I ended up legally adopting them and coming out with them on the floor of a cargo jet. Why did we have to get them out? When the North Vietnamese had taken over Hue in the early days of the war, they had executed thousands of civilians and tumbled them into muddy pits. And my employees were coming to me and saying, "Don't let them do that to us." And I had no plan to get them out. I said, "No, I'm not leaving without you." And I had to think for a second, what am I saying? I would stay here and get rolled into a muddy pit if I couldn't get you out? And then I learned that the embassy was actually getting their people out. And I found a way to do it, and that way was to legally adopt them.
Wow, that's an incredible story. We still have Mark Updegrove with us. He is the president of and CEO of the LBJ Foundation and a presidential historian. So just listening to this story, Mark, and also your thoughts on this anniversary.
There are so many remarkable stories about what happened in Vietnam. It was a sad and dark chapter in the life of this nation, Mika. And we had an event at the LBJ Library a couple of nights ago to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the end of the war. And actually, about 160, 170 veterans showed up. We had a packed audience of about 1,000. And I think for so many veterans, who returned, they were reviled in this country. It is such a shameful chapter that we did not recognize the sacrifice and, in many cases, the heroism of our Vietnam War vets. They were spat upon, figuratively and sometimes literally, when they came home. They were called baby killers. So I think 50 years on, we should be expressing gratitude for those veterans of Vietnam and the sacrifice they made for a war that we asked them to fight. So I think that's one thing that we can rectify as we look at a half a century later after the wars end, Mika.
Presidential historian Mark Updegrove, thank you so much. His new book, Make Your Mark, Lessons in Character from 7 Presidents, is on sale now. And Ralph White, thank you. The book, Getting Out of Saigon, How a 27-year-old American banker saved 113 Vietnamese civilians. And it's out in paperback now. Thank you for coming on the show as well to tell your story.
Thank you very much.
Coming up, a new